Ever been in that frustrating spot where something crucial just breaks? Your go-to app crashes. Right before a presentation, maybe.
Oh yeah, or the website you desperately need for a deadline suddenly goes dark.
Exactly. We've all been there just wishing for that magic button to make it all work again. And that really is what we're digging into today, how organizations get things back on track fast. Welcome to this episode of ITIL for Unplugged, Incident Management Keeping the Lights On. This session is brought to you by Lean IT Group. For more ways to really boost your IT performance, do make sure to visit our website, www.theleanit.com. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Jessica. So today we're putting on our explorer hats, I guess, and plunging into the essential world of incident management.
Right? And our maps for this journey, we're using the ITIL 4 Incident Management Practice Guide, and also looking at some really interesting perspectives on swarming and incident management.
That's right, 2 solid sources.
Our mission today, yours and ours, is pretty simple. Extract the absolute core knowledge. How do you effectively handle those moments when things go sideways in it?
We're talking the key vocabulary. The step-by-step actions.
Why tools and automation are so critical these days.
And also a smart way to think about it, all sort of looking at it from different angles.
Think of this as your express route, your shortcut to understanding this really crucial practice without getting totally bogged down in jargon.
Sounds good. Where do we start?
Okay, let's jump right in. First things first, what exactly is an incident in this context?
Okay, so according to the Incident Management Practice Guide, an incident is defined as an unplanned interruption to a service or reduction in the quality of a service.
An unplanned interruption.
Yeah.
Or reduction in quality. So it's broader than just like a complete system crash.
Absolutely. It could be a system suddenly becoming really sluggish, or maybe just one feature glitching out. It doesn't have to be a total failure.
Gotcha. And the main goal here is just fix it fast.
Pretty much. The core purpose, the absolute aim of incident management is to minimize the negative impact of these disruptions. And you do that by restoring what we call normal service operation as quickly as possible.
Makes sense. Quick restoration means happier users, happier customers.
Definitely it's key for satisfaction, but also for the service providers. Credibility, it ensures the services are actually delivering the value they're supposed to. We see organizations with mature automation in this space. They often cut their average resolution time way down.
And that directly boosts customer satisfaction, I bet.
Spot on. A quick fix equals happy users and a reputation for reliability.
Okay. You mentioned normal service operation.
Mm-hmm.
What does that actually mean in practice? Is it just working?
It's usually a bit more defined than that. Normal service operation is typically what's laid out in things like service level agreements.
Oh, the SLAs. Those agreements about performance level?
Exactly. Or it might be defined in internal technical specs. Sometimes if there isn't formal documentation, it might even be based on sort of the informed opinion of the technical experts involved.
Interesting. So it's not always written in stone?
Not always, but ideally it is. And what's also interesting is that incident management isn't just about fixing things the user sees directly.
Oh, how so?
Well, it also covers restoring the health of the underlying infrastructure, the bits the user didn't see. Even if the end user isn't immediately aware, there's a problem brewing.
So like if a critical server starts overheating and might fail soon, even if the website it runs is still technically up, incident management would kick in.
Precisely. They'd work on getting that server back to its normal operating state to prevent a future interruption. It's about maintaining the whole ecosystem stability.
Okay, that makes sense. Being proactive. Now, dealing with all these different potential incidents, I imagine you need some standard ways of handling them.
You do. That's where incident models come in. What's your take on those?
My understanding is the incident model is like a pre-agreed recipe, right? For a specific type of incident, like access issues might have a standard procedure everyone follows.
That's a great way to put it. A recipe or a repeatable approach for managing specific categories of incidents.
And the benefit is speed, efficiency.
Exactly that. The real value is the speed and efficiency it brings. By having these predefined models, teams can often resolve known or similar incidents much, much faster because they're basically using tried and tested solutions.
So no reinventing the wheel every time a common problem pops up. You just grab the playbook.
Pull out the playbook. Yeah, it's a major time saver.
But what about the really big ones, the incidents that cause major headaches for the business?
Oh yes, those get a special label. Major incidents.
Okay, sounds serious.
They usually are. These are incidents with a really significant business impact, and they demand an immediate, highly coordinated response.
So like a full system outage for an e-commerce site during peak hours.
That certainly qualify, but it's important to remember a major incident isn't always one single catastrophic event. Sometimes it can be a complex chain reaction of smaller, seemingly trivial things.
Like dominoes falling.
Exactly like dominoes falling. I remember one case, a few intermittent network glitches, barely noticeable at first, eventually cascaded into a huge system outage. It really highlighted that domino effect.
Wow. So you need a different level of response for those?
Absolutely. Major incidents typically need a dedicated coordinator, often called a major incident manager, or MIM.
MIM?
Yeah, and they often involve pulling together a temporary dedicated team of specialists, allocating specific resources, sometimes using collaborative techniques like swarming, which we should definitely talk more about.
Swarming. Sounds intriguing. We'll circle back to that, and I guess stricter communication rules apply too.
Definitely. Stringent communication plans, post-incident reviews, the whole 9 yards. It's a full-scale emergency response.
Like, really right now. Sometimes you can't fix the root cause immediately, but you need to get the service sort of working again. That's where workarounds fit in, isn't it?
That's correct. A workaround is essentially a temporary solution. It reduces or eliminates the impact of an incident or maybe a known underlying problem when a full definite resolution isn't available right away.
Like rebooting a glitchy router to get the internet back, even if you don't know why it glitched.
Exactly like that. The goal is just to restore the service to an acceptable level quickly. But there's a catch.
A catch?
Yeah, relying too heavily on workarounds can lead to something called technical debt.
Technical debt. Okay, that doesn't sound good. Like financial debt?
It's a similar concept. Think of it as the backlog of rework that piles up because you keep using temporary fixes instead of fixing the actual underlying systemic issue.
I see. So the workaround gets you by, but the original problem is still lurking there.
Precisely. And while workarounds give you that immediate relief, they can cause bigger headaches down the line. If they aren't managed properly, you need to track them. And eventually, someone needs to address the root cause with a permanent fix. That's often where other processes like problem management come into play.
Okay, so workarounds are useful short-term tools, but you need to eventually pay off that technical debt by finding a proper solution.
You've got it. Let's shift gears slightly. What are the actual steps involved when an incident happens? What's the life cycle look like?
The whole process, the incident management life cycle. It spans everything from the very first moment an incident is identified right through to resolution, and even analyzing it afterwards.
Okay, so what are the key stages?
Well, you've got detection, then registration, classification, diagnosis, resolution. Record management is crucial. Communication with stakeholders and that vital post-resolution review.
And within that life cycle, I think the guide mentions 2 main processes.
Yes, that's right. First, there's the core incident handling and resolution process. That's the step-by-step journey for a single incident. From detection to closure.
The operational part.
Exactly. And second, there's the periodic incident review that's more about stepping back, looking at past incidents and learning from them to improve how you handle things in the future. It's about continuous improvement. Let's dig into that first one, incident handling and resolution. Can you walk us through those activities? Again, starts with detection.
It all starts with detection. And what's really changed the game here is the shift towards automatic detection.
And through monitoring tools and things like that.
Exactly. Modern monitoring and event management tools can often spot incidents the second they happen. Sometimes even before users notice anything's wrong.
That sounds huge. Faster response times?
Definitely faster response times. Plus you get richer, more accurate data about the incident right from the start. Of course, incidents are still sometimes detected manually when a user calls the service desk or reports an issue.
Sure, that still happens, but the automatic detection is the goal. Okay, so an incident is detected. What's next?
Next up is registration. This is basically just formally recording the initial details, getting it into the system.
Logging the call, essentially logging the incident.
Yep. Then comes classification. This is where you categorize the incident, usually based on its impact and urgency. How bad is it, and how quickly does it need fixing?
And that helps prioritize it rooted to the right people.
Precisely. It's essential for prioritization and getting it to the correct team. And interestingly, classification is also getting smarter. It's increasingly automated or semi-automated.
How so? Machine learning?
Yep. Some organizations are using machine learning to look at patterns from old incidents and help predict the category for new ones. Really helpful when you have high volumes of incidents coming in.
Smart. Okay. Detected, registered, classified. Then what?
Then you get into diagnosis. This is the investigation part, figuring out what's actually causing the problem.
Finding the root cause, or at least the immediate cause.
Exactly. Once you think you know the cause, you move to resolution. This is where you implement the fix. That might involve applying a patch, restarting a service, maybe even making a change request for a bigger fix.
The actual fixing part. And finally,
closure. This is the formal step confirming the service is fully back to normal. Users are happy and updating all the incident records with the final details, closing the loop.
and you mentioned earlier that this whole flow detection to closure can vary based on those incident models.
Absolutely. For a really common, well-understood issue, an incident model might automate huge chunks of this. Maybe it goes straight from detection via monitoring tool, triggers an automated fix, and closes itself all with minimal human touch.
Wow, fully automated.
Fully automated, it's possible for some incidents, but then for a completely new, complex, weird issue, well, that might need a much more manual approach with experts, heavily involved at each stage, diagnosis, testing, solutions, resolution.
So the model dictates the path. Regardless of the path, ownership is important.
Yeah, absolutely crucial. Regardless of the model, someone needs to own that incident from start to finish. They need to be responsible for driving it through diagnosis and resolution, making sure it doesn't get lost.
Clear ownership. Got it. Now, we've touched on tools and automation quite a bit. It really sounds like they're fundamental to modern incident management.
They really are. The practice guide is very clear on this. Incident management activities should be automated wherever it's feasible and effective.
And the main benefit is
Speed. Mainly, automation dramatically accelerates response times. It also reduces the chance of human error, which can creep in under pressure. And crucially, it frees up your skilled people. They can focus on the really complex, critical problems instead of routine tasks.
makes total sense. Can we run through some examples? Where does automation fit in each stage?
Sure. For detection, we mentioned monitoring tools and event correlation engines. They automatically spot and flag potential issues.
Right?
For registration, think automated service portals, chatbots, workflow tools. They make it easy for users to report issues and ensure those reports get logged correctly and consistently.
Streamlining the intake. What about classification?
For classification, you've got workflow engines working with knowledge bases, configuration management databases, and like we said, machine learning. They can automatically categorize based on keywords, symptoms-affected systems. Super helpful for high volumes.
Yeah, I can see that. And for figuring out the problem, diagnosis.
For diagnosis, you can have automated diagnostic scripts that run checks, knowledge articles suggested based on the classification. Collaboration tools that pull in the right experts automatically. It speeds up finding the cause, especially for known errors.
And the fix itself. What about resolution?
In resolution, think remote administration tools that let technicians access systems securely, or automated deployment systems that can push out patches or configuration changes quickly and reliably, especially vital for services spread out geographically.
Reducing manual effort and applying the fix. What about wrapping up?
Closure? Even closure can be streamlined. Automated workflows can ensure all the necessary documentation is completed. Notifications sent out, surveys triggered, keeps everything tidy.
And that periodic review process you mentioned?
Yeah, for the periodic review, automation helps massively too. Analytics, dashboards, reporting tools, survey platforms. They automate, gathering and analyzing all that incident data, making it much easier to spot trends, identify recurring problems, and find areas to improve.
So literally across the entire life cycle, there are opportunities to use automation to make things faster, more reliable, more efficient.
Absolutely. The right toolkit is becoming essential, not just nice to have.
Okay, now the guide also brings up the 4 dimensions of service management. How do those apply here? I mean, for incident management.
Yes, the 4 dimensions, they're a core concept. They provide this holistic view for managing services, and they definitely apply to incident management. The dimensions are organizations and people, information and technology, value streams and processes, and partners and suppliers.
Right, let's take it one by one. Organizations and people. What's the focus there for incidents?
This dimension is all about the human element and the structure. So the roles involved, like the incident manager or maybe the major incident manager we talked about. It stresses having clear roles, responsibilities, and really effective communication and coordination between different teams.
And team structure comes into play here too.
It does. You have the traditional tiered support models, level 1, level 2, etc. But there's a definite trend towards flatter, more collaborative structures, and that brings us back to swarming.
Okay, swarming. Let's unpack that a bit based on the source material.
So the swarming and incident management perspective really highlights this. Instead of escalating an incident step by step through different tiers, swarming brings together all the necessary experts, maybe from development, operations, networking, security, right from the start.
Like a virtual or maybe even physical war room.
Exactly, they collaborate intensively to tackle the incident together. The benefit? Much faster resolution because you have all the brains in one place immediately.
Less handoff delay.
Precisely. Plus, better collaboration, better knowledge sharing across silos, and people learn faster because they're exposed to different perspectives in real time.
Sounds powerful. What else falls under organizations and people?
The culture is huge, fostering a sense of collective responsibility. We own this together. Also critically, a no-blame culture. People need to feel safe to try things, suggest ideas, even make mistakes without fear, so you can find the solution faster and learn from it. And that ties into a commitment to continuous learning and improvement.
A collaborative, blame-free learning environment.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. Dimension 2. Information and technology. What's key here for incidents?
This one's about the data and the tools. It emphasizes having access to high-quality, relevant information. That could be anything from user feedback, detailed diagrams of the service architecture, configuration details, knowledge articles.
Even agreements with suppliers.
Yeah, supplier agreements are critical too. It includes the information captured in the incident records themselves. The guide lists key things like incident title, who's affected the business impact now and potentially later. Key timelines, which systems or services are involved, a log of investigation steps.
All the details needed to understand and track the incident.
Exactly. And ideally, actions and updates should be logged with timestamps, preferably automatically for accuracy and a clear audit trail. Good information is vital for good diagnosis and resolution.
Rubbish in, rubbish out, basically.
Essentially, yes.
Okay. Dimension 3. Value streams and processes. How does incident management fit into the bigger picture?
Incident management is a really key contributor to several value streams. Those sequences of activities an organization performs to deliver value to a customer, particularly the value streams related to engage, like user support and deliver and support, keeping services running.
So it's about making sure those value delivery pipelines aren't blocked by incidents.
Exactly. It plays a critical role in keeping those value streams flowing smoothly. And the 2 core processes we discussed earlier, the handling and resolution part and the periodic review part, are the engine that drives incident management's contribution within those value streams.
Got it. And the last dimension, partners and suppliers. Why is that important for incident management?
Well, think about it. Very few organizations deliver services entirely on their own these days. Most rely on third parties for something, whether it's cloud hosting, software components, network connectivity.
True, it's an interconnected world. It really is. So your incident management practice must clearly define how these partners and suppliers get involved when an incident occurs that affects their part of the service. You need processes for working with them during an incident.
Absolutely. You need effective collaboration. That often means having predefined communication channels, clear escalation paths within the supplier organization, maybe standard interfaces for exchanging incident information, and just generally strong working relationships. You don't want finger pointing or delays because the processes aren't clear.
So if your cloud provider has an issue impacting your app, you need a clear, agreed way to engage them and work together on the fix.
Precisely. Seamless collaboration is often essential for fast resolution in those cases. Now, related to all this, the guide also mentions practice success factors.
Right? It's about making incident management successful.
Yes, they boil it down to 3 key things, really.
Okay, first,
Detecting incidents early, spotting them quickly, ideally through that proactive monitoring we talked about.
makes sense. Second,
Second, resolving incidents quickly and efficiently using those models. Using knowledge, maybe using swarming, applying automation, getting the fix done right and fast.
detect early, resolve quickly. And the third?
Third, continually improving incident management approaches, learning from experience, using those periodic reviews, analyzing the data, and making the process better over time.
Detect early, resolve quickly, always improve. Seems like a solid foundation.
It really is. And to know if you're actually achieving these, you need to measure things.
Metrics. How do you measure success here?
Well, the effectiveness is often measured in the context of those value streams we mentioned, but you can track specific metrics linked to the practice success factors.
Give us examples.
For early detection? Maybe track the average time to detect an incident, or what percentage of incidents are caught by monitoring versus reported by users.
Okay, and for a quick resolution?
For a quick and efficient resolution, things like average time to diagnose the first-time fix rate, did you fix it properly the first time? The percentage of incidents resolved within SLA targets, user satisfaction surveys, and maybe the percentage of incident tasks that are automated.
Lots of options there.
Yeah,
And for continual improvement?
for continual improvement, you could track how often established incident models or known solutions are being used successfully and critically.
Should we analyze how metrics like resolution, time satisfaction have improved over time?
Absolutely.
So using data not just to see how you're doing now, but to actively drive improvement.
Exactly. It closes the loop. Effective incident management isn't just reactive firefighting. It's about proactively minimizing impact, smartly using automation and collaboration, and always looking for ways to get better.
Okay, great stuff. Let's try and wrap this up. Key takeaways. Incident management at its heart is all about rapid surface restoration when things inevitably go wrong, right?
Minimize that negative impact.
It relies heavily on having clear, defined processes and those repeatable incident models to handle known issues efficiently. Structure is key, and modern incident management is massively enhanced by smart automation and collaborative techniques.
Like swarming technology and teamwork working together.
Plus, you need that holistic view considering all 4 dimensions: people, infotech, processes, partners. When you're setting it up or improving it,
You can't neglect any of them.
and finally, that constant cycle of review, learning from data and striving for continual improvement is absolutely vital for long-term success and reliability.
You've nailed it. A well-oiled incident management practice really is a cornerstone for any organization wanting reliable, trustworthy IT services.
So here's a thought to leave you with. Based on everything we've discussed today from the practice guide and the ideas around swarming, considering these sources, how might shifting towards a much more proactive, a more automated, maybe even a more swarm-based approach to incident management, how might that fundamentally change your organization's relationship with service reliability and maybe most importantly with customer trust?
That's a powerful question. Definitely something worth pondering and maybe exploring further with these resources in your own context.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for diving deep with us today. And remember, for more valuable insights, be sure to visit www.theleanit.com. This episode was brought to you by Lean IT Group. Hit pause, press play, join the conversation.
Until next time, bye.